Today on the DML News Podcast, lots to talk about. Tariffs on Mexico and Canada and China. Biden giving away our country for the last few weeks that he has any power. Jack Smith bows out. A whole bunch of different stuff, including CNN saying X needs to be censored, regulated, you name it. I'm back in the saddle. I'm excited to be here, and I'm all unfiltered.
Dennis Michael Lynch gives you his word, and he will never let you down. He will always fight for America.
The only one who really puts his money where his mouth is Dennis Michael Lynch.
Hello, I'm Dennis Michael Lynch, and I thank you for joining me today. Across from me is my son, Denny. On the controls is my son, Ryan. We are back to you as a threesome here, and happy to be back in the saddle. I want to say thank you to everybody who continued to come in and check out the show every single day when it was just Ryan and Denny for the past 6 episodes. I had surgery last Monday on my mouth. It was a doozy. And if there was ever an advertisement for DML CBD, it's this one. I could not eat my DML CBD gummies. And because I couldn't have my DML CBD gummies because I couldn't chew anything, basically I wound up getting, for the first time in I can't tell you how many years, a massive head cold. So you'll hear me a little congested today with some sinus infection stuff going on. And then finally, now that I can go back to sort of eating on one side of my mouth, hopefully the DML CBD will get me back in shape again. But it's amazing. I take this stuff every single day. I never get sick, knock on wood. I have to stop taking it. Bang, I get sick. It's a testimonial like no other. At the end of the show, I'll explain a little bit more what I had done and why it knocked me out so much. But until then, let me just say really quickly, we have probably the greatest deal that we've ever had at DML CBD. We run it every single year. And I can tell you that already 50%, in just a matter of days, 50% of the inventory we had for this is gone. So it's sort of like a Black Friday early. DML CBD, 3 of the most popular products we have is the hand and foot cream, the mini bottle of the body lotion, which is basically an oil, massage oil, and then, of course, the face serum. If you were to buy these 3 products right here individually, it would be over $200. We are giving it in this nice little Christmas bag. It's a Christmas gift you give out to other people. You could buy it for just $59. DMLCBD.com. Just go there. You'll see it. It will be there for you. Do we have an extension on that? DMLCBD.com/.
When we did the show yesterday, currently it was BOGO, which is a little misleading since it's not a BOGO, but I can check right now while you're talking.
Check. We'll see right there. But if you just go to DMLCBD.com and the buy button, you'll see it's up there. Pretty simple.
So I guess we'll talk to Ashley. Right now, it's /BOGO.
Yeah.
So I guess if you want to go to the page, DMLCBD.com/BOGO, and the explanation of what the special is.
It is not a buy one, get one free.
It's not. No, I'd
be out of business. Yeah. But you can get these 3 things right now. We're basically selling to you at our costs and a little less, actually. So for $59, you can wind up getting this. It's a great gift to give somebody. Every year we sell out of these things before Black Friday. And to make it even sweeter, what we're doing this year is we're also going to throw in an extra bottle for you of the DML CBD face serum. And I'm doing this through the DML Foundation. It's a charitable move on my end. So you get these 3 and this for just $59. It's well over $250 worth of product you're going to get for $60, a little less than $60. So DMLCBD.com. If you want to go DMLCBD.com/BOGO, that's just the landing page. It's not a BOGO. It's just the landing page. We'll have that fixed by the end of the day. Trust me on that one. For the longest time, I have spoken about the importance of tariffs. The tariffs on Mexico that need to be implemented a very long time ago look like they may actually have a chance. Donald J. Trump, I believe, is going to come into office having learned a lot of lessons over the past 8 years. 4 of them, in terms of what he did and didn't do as president, I think he's going to make up for it. The next 4, in terms of how he was abused in ways that are best described as anti-American. I think we're going to see 4 years of Trump. I think he's going to get things done as if he were president for 16. He's not going to joke around. He's not going to take any time to pause. He is going to get things done. One of the things I warned you about after Trump won the election, I told you there was going to be a couple of things that were guaranteed, and I'm correct when telling you that there are massive caravans headed to the United States right now. My concern was the same as what it was going to be back in 2015, 2016, 2017 when he won that election. I knew that we would get a massive late surge and then it would stop. As much as I could guarantee you that come April of 2025, it will be crickets down at the border. Before that happens, it is going to be like free tickets being given away at Disney. Everybody and their mother, brother, sister, cousin, and even people they don't know are now getting together in a caravan and they're moving through Mexico and they're looking to come to the United States before Donald Trump actually gets inaugurated. Joe Biden, as you'll see in a few minutes, is supporting this sort of thing, trying to put in new technology to make it easier for these people. Well, Donald J. Trump has had enough. He learned his lesson the first time. The first time when the surges started during his presidency, because he got light on talking about DACA, he wound up paying a price. The caravans started to come. He couldn't stop them. He couldn't figure out how to do it. Finally, he put out a public message via Twitter that Mexico would wind up paying tariffs. And if they did not stop the flow from coming in, they would be basically raped of all their profits from what it is that they sold to America. Instantaneously, the stock market dropped. Instantaneously, the head honchos from Mexico got on airplanes and got their asses to Washington, D.C. Suddenly, the border started to simmer down, calm down. You saw the photo ops of the Mexican military going down to the southern part of Mexico to stop people from coming in through Central America. The Mexicans took it seriously until Trump showed his hand that he wasn't serious at all. Donald J. Trump just put out a statement, and I'm going to read from Reuters how it is that they explain this whole thing. I absolutely love it. Not only do I love it that Trump is talking about putting on tariffs, but I love the fact that Reuters has to report it. President-elect Donald Trump on Monday pledged big tariffs on the United States' three largest trading partners, Canada, Mexico, and China, detailing how he will implement campaign promises that could trigger trade wars. Notice how they always put the twist on there. How about that could trigger the end of illegal immigration and drugs into this country? Trump, who takes office on January 20, said he would impose a 25% tariff on imports from Canada and Mexico until they clamped down on drugs, particularly fentanyl and migrants crossing the border, in a move that would appear to violate a free trade deal. Trump separately outlined an additional 10% tariff above any additional tariffs on imports from China. It was not clear what this would mean for China, as he has previously pledged to end China's most favored nation trading status and slap tariffs on Chinese products in excess of 60%, much higher than those imposed during his first term. The two posts on Truth Social represent some of Trump's most specific comments on how he will implement his economic agenda since winning the election. On January 20, this is Trump's quote, "On January 20th, as one of my many first executive orders, I will sign all necessary documents to charge Mexico and Canada a 25% tariff on all products coming into the United States and its ridiculous open borders." The U.S. accounted for more than 83% of exports from Mexico in 2023 and 75% of all Canadian exports. I absolutely love this. This is the way you get the crap to stop. You have got to fight fire with fire. And immigration, illegal immigration, is a process that is fueled by greed. The cartels are greedy to make the money. The Mexican government is greedy to make the money. And they continue to let it happen time and time again, each and every day, because there's a ton of money. The amount of money that gets repatriated back to the Central America, Mexico, and South America is insane. The amount of money that these migrants sent out of this country over the past 20 years is into the trillions of dollars. We have got to stop it. And the only way you stop it is to fight fire with fire. You're going to send that stuff, that drug stuff, all that crap into my country and poison my people? You're going to send all of these migrants, these rapists, these murderers, these crime-ridden, filthy human beings, these day laborers who are going to steal jobs, take away things from my children at school, burden us at hospitals? You think you're going to do that and just get away with it? Maybe you get away with it under Biden. Maybe you get away with it under Obama or Clinton, but not under Trump. And so now all of a sudden, Mexican officials are starting to get really serious because they're seeing that their entire economy will plummet. 83% of what Mexico sends out goes to the United States. And I bet you, other than Dos Equis beer or Corona, we don't need a damn thing. We don't need a damn thing from Mexico. Not a damn thing. They need us more than we need them. Canada, what are we getting? Molson? I'd rather have a Heineken. Get rid of it. Get rid of them. We don't need the Canadians. We don't need the Mexicans. They need us. 83% and 75%. Talk about two countries that don't understand the importance of multi-stemming revenue channels. They've put all their eggs into our baskets. Now, the new Mexican president, Claudia Sheinbaum, sounds real Mexican, doesn't it? Is scrambling to get her act together after Trump's warning of the 25% tariffs. Yeah. So during a press conference, she said she was writing a letter to Trump. To one tariff will come another, and on. We will put our common businesses at risk. This is what she's fearing. Listen, there's an easy way out of this. Sweetheart, stop the flow of drugs, stop the flow of people into our country illegally. It is that freaking simple. I don't think 25% goes far enough. I think 25% is what he puts on today. And if it continues to happen, if we see one person cross over that border illegally, one person, it goes to 50%. And then if there's another person, you just cut it off. You put it at 95%. You make it impossible. Now, the Democrats will say, well, that's like putting a tax on U.S. taxpayers. No, it's not. Don't drink Dos Equis. Don't drink Corona. Drink something else. It's really that simple. It is time for America to put its best interests first. It is time for America to put the American people first. I have been fighting for this for 15 years, a little bit longer if I really go back to when I started. 17 years I've been fighting for this sort of thing. The tariffs are the number one way of stopping the flow from coming into this country, both from the North and the South. And if and when it happens, you watch how quickly this country cleans itself up. Now, with that said, Dennis, it appears as if Joe Biden, on his way out to pasture, is trying to do everything he possibly can to complete the Obama promise of a fundamental transformation by loading up this country with third world migrants. What do we have on that?
Yes, he is trying to do some last minute rushing by introducing or having Border Patrol introduce a new app that is going to even further streamline the process of getting them in. But this isn't too surprising. He's doing a lot of different shady stuff to get things kind of moving before he's moved out. And, I have to ask, since you've been off the show for a few episodes now, there's a tweet here from Benny Johnson. It just went out 10 minutes ago, so I want to read it real quick. Trump accomplishments before taking office. Mexico agrees to end migrant caravans. Canada closes border, ends illegal immigration. American stock market and Bitcoin hit record highs. China stock market crashes. Putin agrees to Trump peace deal in Ukraine and selling oil in U.S. dollars. Zelensky agreeing to peace talks. There's a whole list. Trump at a 65 plus approval rating. And then he ends with, we're heading into the American golden era. Do you feel that this is where we're heading, or is this maybe a little premature, or just in the last 10 days, have you seen Trump make moves that you're mostly agreeable to, that this is heading into the American golden era?
I think right now everything is going in Trump's direction. I mean, Jack Smith, we'll talk about in a couple of seconds, just dropped basically all the charges that are against Trump. He's winning every single last step he takes. He goes right with him. He goes left with him. No matter what he wants, he's getting. Trump's biggest Achilles heel, as far as I'm concerned, is his ego, right? It's his greatest strength and it's his greatest weakness. And I think there were some times in his first run as president where he let his ego get in the way, meaning he wants everybody to love him. And so he'll do whatever it has to do in order to try to make everybody love him. I think he's come to terms with no matter what he does good for some people, they're still going to hate him. If Trump were to cure cancer, they'd say he did it the wrong way. If he was to solve hunger, they say you served the wrong food. I mean, there's no way he can win with those people. And I think he has learned that lesson the hard way. So with that said, in order to have a golden era, you have to remain, and I mean ironclad, you have to remain committed to your plan. We're just opened up with immigration. When Trump took office in 2017, by mid-April, the border was basically quiet. At the end of that month, total apprehensions were 15,000. That's 15,000. What made that happen? All of his tough talk during his campaigning is what led people to say, I'm not going to the United States. I'm going to lose the money I'm going to pay to the cartel. I'm going to lose the journey. I'm going to be sent back home. It's not worth it. One of the things Trump said during his campaigning was that on day one, he was going to end DACA. That was Obama's illegal amnesty. Well, on day one, he didn't end DACA. And then by the time September rolled around, basically 9 months after he took office, he started tweeting out that he wanted to do a deal on DACA. He was going to give DACA legitimacy in exchange for the money for his border wall. So when he did that, what wound up happening is multifaceted. A, people around the world said he was never serious about cracking down on us. And two, he's saying he loves us. He's saying he loves DACA kids. He wants us to come. He's changed his mind. And so the wave began. The reason why I explain that story is because that is an example of how it is that he went away from what he promised in order to try to make everybody happy. He wanted the Democrats to be happy with DACA, and he wanted the Republicans to be happy with the wall. Well, the problem is when you try to make everybody happy, you ultimately make everybody miserable. And in this particular case, I think what he learned was the Democrats really don't care about DACA. They really don't care about the migrants. They just want the free freaking people coming here so this way they can change whatever it is they need to change. The DACA already gave them what they wanted. They didn't care about that. They were worried about getting amnesty for everybody else. So Trump's like, oh, wow, I misplayed this. I thought they really cared about these people. They don't care about anybody. So if Trump sticks to his guns and all the things that he promised, and he keeps circling himself with the best of the best, this will be the best 4 years in American history since I've been alive. Ultimately, it all rests on Trump's shoulders. If he really does put in this tariff instead of just sending in another tweet, we will see a legal immigration and the drug flow, not totally on the drug flow, but we will see those things basically become non-factors at the border. But he has to do it. If you don't put it in place, nobody's going to, they lose credit. They lose credibility. It's like the parent who threatens to punish you. If you do it again and you don't get punished, you realize it's just empty words.
You know what, Ryan? We didn't get to play the Biden clip, did we? No? No, all right, I guess we'll play the actual clip now.
So this clip shows what Biden's actually doing.
What Biden's doing, which is that this new app, which launches in December, is going to make it very streamlined and easy for illegals to come over with almost no questions asked.
All right, play the video.
is quietly loosening immigration policies before Trump takes office. This according to the New York Post. It reports the administration is testing a new app that will allow illegal migrants to bypass in-person check-ins at their local ICE office. Jeff Paul is live with more. It sounds like they're just giving Donald Trump one more thing to undo.
Well, John, we do know the Biden administration has been testing this new immigration and customs app, and the idea is to streamline the check-in process for migrants, allow them to use their phones or computers to touch base with immigration officials while they wait for their date in court instead of appearing for those check-ins in person. Now, a source tells Fox News ICE has been using the app already in a couple of cities, but according to the New York Post, it's going to be launched officially next month in New York City. The field office there reportedly has been overwhelmed, fully booked with appointments for a year. Our sources tell us that's really the push to get this backlogged moved through. The concerns regarding this app, obviously it's a new app, so there's going to be some glitches. The other wider concern is, could it cause even more migrants to go under the radar? We'll have to see what happens.
You know, Ryan and I have been joking a lot on the show that it's a long journey till January 20th, because when you have Biden here basically trying to shepherd in as many illegals as possible, give Trump as much trouble as possible on day one. It just makes me so grateful for a change of leadership. I think he's even doing something with Medicare. I think he tweeted it this morning.
Talking about Biden.
Biden, yeah. In last minute move, the Biden administration moves to spend nearly $40 billion in tax dollars providing weight loss drugs for obesity through Medicare and Medicaid.
And this is what makes these things go broke.
Yes.
This is what, safety nets, this is what makes them go broke. So, there's still so much out in terms of what will and will not happen with these people taking these drugs to lose weight. It's not the body's natural way of losing weight. I mean,
and I just want to say, I hate to say it, you can almost tell when someone's on it because it's not a natural way of losing the weight. There's almost like a gaunt appearance, as if like the body dropped the weight, but not in a very casual manner.
Yeah.
Because there's always, I've always kind of seen it through social media, but people kind of making their guesses of which celebrities or which politicians are on Ozempic or something like that.
Well, look, there's always been a desire to lose weight in this country. That's why things like Weight Watchers and Jenny Craig, and they all became billion-dollar companies, because quite honestly, people are always looking for the shortcut. And there's just basics. And I'm not talking about somebody who has a disability, but there are just basics that the human body needs to go through. If you take in less calories than you burn, you're going to lose weight.
Yes.
The majority of the food that we're being supplied, and this is why I think it's such a great thing to have Kennedy Jr. in, if you look at the garbage that we're putting into our bodies every single day, it is so hard to lose weight. Plus, you go to a restaurant, look at the portions they give you compared to if you go somewhere like Europe. So people have been poisoned, as far as I'm concerned, with food that's addictive. It's why you just can't have one Lay's potato chip. It's designed so you don't have just one. So if people were to change the way they ate, which I know is not easy, and they would do more exercise, then we wouldn't need to have these drugs. And my concern is, in the same way that we are learning that, cholesterol restricting drugs are actually bad in many different ways, in the same way that we're finding out that, antacids can wind up doing their part in creating cancers in the intestinal tract. People got to be very careful on this stuff. And here you are, Joe Biden, signing an executive order that is just going to make it so this way every Tom, Dick, and Harry can get this and have it paid for by the U.S. government, when we have really no idea of how it is that we're going to be paying for it. Think about that. Don't worry, you could go out, Mr. Smith, and eat all the Doritos, onion rings, and Dunkin' Donuts that you want. Go have 3 slices of pizza if you want on top of that, but just take this pill and don't worry, you'll never get fat. It's just, it's America at its worst as far as I'm concerned. Almost as bad as Jack Smith, who just gave up the effort to go after the president of the United States for absolutely no reason. I think Jack Smith is basically going to leave office with his tail between his legs, and I think
Just a reminder, the two federal cases he dropped were the January 6th election interference
yeah.
and the classified documents at Mar-a-Lago.
Right.
one.
And now it's over. And he's claiming it's because the DOJ has an acting protocol where they're not going to go after a president. And so he's ridding of it before Trump gets into office. I think Jack Smith is trying to cover his ass as much as he possibly can, but
Totally.
Trump is not going to forget this at all.
Mhm.
And last night, Trump's son, Eric, was on Fox, and he said he called Jack Smith an American embarrassment.
Mm.
And I mean, when somebody says that about you, you got to look in the mirror and try to see what it is that you did to a guy for reasons of political posturing only. And it really is anti-American, and I'm glad that's coming to an end.
I'm very excited for the period of where we no longer have to hear the following names: Fannie Willis, Letitia James, Jack Smith, and Alvin Bragg. Like the fact that those names will kind of go in a dustbin and we don't have to really worry about them coming up with any more ploys to dethrone Trump is definitely nice.
I can only tell you I have a personal favorite over those names.
Which one?
I cannot wait to not ever have to hear or see the face of Mayorkas again.
That too.
That man,
I hope he goes into hiding.
I hope he goes into Fauci status,
That too.
where he just pops up once in a while and you know he's alive.
And you never have to see
That's
him.
it.
Yeah.
That's it. I mean, my God, what these people have done to the country. But
Well, I was going to say what they've done to the country and what they have done with keeping us off focus on the things that actually matter. They
Yeah.
really have held up so much BS with some of these cases that would never happen to anybody else. But yeah, I'm glad it's over.
one of the just to go to a negative side here for 1 second, we got to remember that Trump doesn't walk on water.
Yeah.
And unfortunately, there's big news here today about one of his inner circle guys, and apparently this dude has been trying to sell access to Trump, and it's taken the headlines, it's taken it away from Jack Smith, and it's putting it right on Trump. And one of the things that I got to say after you give people the details on this is that if Trump has one Achilles heel other than his ego, it's that he really does put himself in the mix of just questionable people.
So this comes from the Rolling Stone. Boris Epstein, a close advisor of President-elect Trump, has been accused of soliciting payments from administration candidates in exchange for his support and advocacy. Epstein, a longtime attorney to Trump and a key figure in his transition team, was investigated by the campaign's legal counsel over accusations he sought financial compensation from potential Trump nominees. The investigation found that Epstein proposed a $30,000 to $40,000 per month retainer to promote the candidacy of Scott Bessent for Treasury Secretary, and he ended up getting it. Another individual, a defense contractor who asked not to be named in the report for fear of retaliation, claimed Epstein sought a $100,000 monthly retainer to help promote his bid for a position in Trump's second administration. So a lot of pay-to-play schematics going on there.
Now, granted, you just said, you read that out of Rolling Stone, and it's not just Rolling Stone. I mean, Rolling Stone's
There's
far
other-
left,
yeah.
but The Hill has got it, and everybody else got it, and it's flowering. And let's remember, the investigation isn't being spearheaded by Joe Biden's DOJ or Jack Smith. It's actually being spearheaded by Trump's people.
Yes.
So, which leads it to believe that this is not a good shining moment for Trump and the Trump campaign.
Well, I know it's not on the show docket, but I'm just remembering you haven't been here for a few episodes now.
Yeah.
I think one of the biggest setbacks, we talked a lot about it last week, and I guess I know I got emails about it, so maybe your take is important here. One of the big setbacks they had, and it's been questionable too, with how it transpired, was Matt Gaetz withdrawing his name from Attorney General. And there was a lot of hype and controversy around it because if you loved him, you were really happy. And if you were fearful of him because you're on the wrong side of him, you were worried. And not only does he resign from his Congress position, but he withdraws his name from AG. It goes to Pam Bondi, which I'm curious about your take there.
Mm-hmm.
And now he's not in Congress either.
Yeah.
So he doesn't get his seat back, and he's not going to be AG. And now he's doing like cameo filmings for like people for like $100 a video. What just happened? Like, do you have any insight? Because I think that is the biggest red light bulb here.
If you remember going back before I was told, hey, you need an operation. It wasn't even like we were planning for the surgery. I said that I wasn't going to criticize Trump's picks. Who am I to criticize, right? I will say that of all the picks he's made, the one where I was just totally baffled was Gates. It was the one where I just wanted to go do Facebook Live and be like, what is this guy thinking? Now, I understand why he picked Gates. Matt is a loyalist to Trump to the point of where he's got brown on his nose. And I think Trump knows that. And I think Trump is so crafty that he figured, I'm going to use this to my advantage. I need an AG that is going to go after everybody I want in trouble. Everybody I want their head, he's going to go after them. So it was almost like he picked a puppet. So from the degree of looking at it, did he pick the right guy to carry out his agenda? Brilliant. Did he pick the right guy who is the best choice for Attorney General of the United States of America? Not at all. Pam Bondi is a much better choice. I think he'll probably get the same impact that he wanted without it being so sloppy. All right. I think that Matt Gaetz dropping out of Congress was as stupid gets. It was an ego move for Gaetz to say, I'm getting approved. I'm so sure I'm getting approved because none of these freaking people are going to vote against me if they want to be in Trump's good graces. And oh, by the way, if you vote against me, Elon Musk is going to make sure you're primaried. I'm dropping out of Congress. And what winds up happening? They come up with the stuff that is going to take them down. And the Trump administration saying, we don't need this. And what do? They get rid of him. And now he's there.
Is this really a case of he just ended up with the empty basket?
You're asking my opinion. My opinion on this is that his ego is so big and he is so cocky that he let it get out in front of him. And, sometimes your mouth is better off shut. And I don't think he's ever learned that yet. So in essence, I think it's the greatest thing that's happened. Because I think with him as the AG, we lost credibility. With Pam Bondi, she's a solid.
Well, some people said it was a tactic that they would totally shoot down Gates, but that with Bondi as the second pick, they kind of already used their one card on, we don't want this as AG. Or is that?
The Democrats have come on, they have no pride. They're going to sit there and they're going to fight.
Oh, not even Democrats, more like Rhino Republicans.
I mean, look, the Rhino Republicans are always going to be the Rhino Republicans. They don't even hide it anymore. All right. So, yeah, ultimately, they'll push back on everything. They'll find a few things that Pam Bondi has said and done over the course of time, which doesn't sound good on television. They'll bring it out. They'll do the whole thing. But she's going to be the AG. And she's going to carry things out in the way that you would expect a Trump AG to carry out, which is going to be nice. But to your point, we need to get to this inauguration. We need to get past this really weird lame duck era part where every day you got to worry about whether or not Trump is going to be okay. You got to worry every single day about what the new bombshell report like Boris Epstein's going to be. We just need to get to that day on January 20, so this way we could stop the bleeding. Now, with that said, we have a video that's very disturbing. Why don't you explain what people are about to see without giving too much detail?
I don't know this guy's name, but he posted a TikTok. He's clearly a Kamala Harris, Joe Biden supporter, and he kind of makes some very strange whispering threats that he's going to make some kind of move on Inauguration Day, specifically when or right before when Trump goes to speak.
Play the video.
All right, so let's talk about what it is that I actually mean to do on Inauguration Day. So there's going to be a lot of people there. A lot of people on his side and a lot of people protesting on our side. I mean to meet as many people as I can, try to convince them to work together in a co-opetition. And if everything works the way that it's supposed to, I will be in front of that stage with people chanting for me to be heard. Either Legion or let him speak. Whatever, I don't care. Get me on stage to speak before the president and change the very fabric of human history. Our future is in our hands, and I mean to take it, charge forward, grasp that future with both hands, and rip it apart. The future I see is not one I accept. The future I want is one that I will build, and I need your help to get there.
Now, here's the craziest thing about that video, other than it just being spooky and eerie and gross and just what the hell did he just say? If that was somebody who had a Gadsden flag or an American flag or anything like a Trump hat, MAGA hat on, the feds would be at that guy's house, lickety split. But I wonder, is anybody even investigating that right now?
No, and if it wasn't for X to re-highlight it and recirculate it, it would just go into the abyss and be shared by those that support it, and that be it. That's why, as much as there are some flaws still with maybe the X platform, it is still by and large the ultimate social media gateway to really get things that are truly unfiltered and things that are not going to be censored by media overlords.
It's funny you say that. We'll just go into our segment here about the media. What I was doing with my downtime, right, because I couldn't really do anything. My face was blown up, couldn't really go out. I started to write a revised business plan for what it is that we're going to do as a company. I'm watching everything, and I mean everything, change in news, media, entertainment, everything. And as I've predicted now for a year, X, Elon Musk, is going to be at the center of it all. And this disturbs the left because the left has owned news and entertainment in the same way they've owned academia. And I think they see their grip coming to a finale. They can feel the whole movement of we're not going to be lied to anymore. We don't believe anything you have to say. We don't even need you. This is citizen journalism time. I think they see the writing on the wall and they are scared.
I think there's a term for it. It's called a culture shift. So like the go-to mindset now is that that the mainstream media can only be taken with a grain of salt and you have to interpret it, and that unfiltered news and truth really comes directly from the people independently. Like that's the culture shift.
Absolutely. And with that being said, there is going to be, MSNBC now talking about whether it's going to go up for sale, people saying Elon's going to buy it. It's not going to happen. But
I think just the fact that their ratings are so bad and that they're in that territory goes to show it's the end of an era for them.
MSNBC and CNN will both come to a point to where they will no longer be able to sustain operations. Their income is going to nosedive as all advertisers are starting to go online, and it's becoming.
They're slashing salaries. They just slashed Rachel Maddow's.
No doubt. So I'm telling you, it's going to come to an end. Fox News will be the only guy standing. Newsmax maybe as well. Newsmax I think is getting positioned to try to do an IPO this coming year, so they'll be flush with capital. These guys are going to try to dominate that space. I still think they're wasting their money as well. I don't think people are going to consume their news like they have in the past. I even think people who use the DML news app a year from now will not be using it the way that they were using it today. Everything is changing. And with that in mind, there is going to be a cleansing. It goes to the question you asked me before. Do you think we're going into a golden era? I think we are going into a major pendulum shift to where, in order to get rid of the past, I'll say 30 years, going back into Clinton's, the last 30 ugly years of where everything in America got broken, lost, misinterpreted, shoved in your face wrongly, inside out, upside down. I think we're headed back to the white picket fence. And part of the white picket fence, painting is that the people just aren't going to take it anymore. And one of the beauties is losing people who should never have been on television to begin with, who got there either because the way that they pee or the color of their skin or who they sleep with. I think these people, they need to be kicked out so fast. They'll be the first ones to go. And when we play this clip right now from CNN, you'll know this is the kind of people I'm talking about. Play the clips from CNN in which they're talking about X and why X is so dangerous and how X has to be basically ripped off the face of the earth. And I got news for you, honey. It ain't going anywhere. Play.
Platforms are not regulated right now, which gives them carte blanche to whatever they want right now. Elon is not someone who likes to be regulated. And so to buy MSN, he would go under some federal regulations.
Who's regulating CNN right now?
The FCC.
We're not a broadcast. It's cable.
I mean, I don't really think cable stations are under the same regulatory structure
over public airways
that broadcast is.
It's definitely regulated more than than Facebook and
there's
Twitter.
Still what she's saying is that there's still a litmus test of journalism that you have to pass. You can't come on TV and just make up things and say things. That happens on X. Please don't give me the eyebrow furrow as if you don't know what I'm talking about. It happens often on X. I can go and say the color is blue and I will be met with so many disrespectful remarks. No one's regulating the N-word. No one's regulating the criticism. No one is regulating how people are treated.
How much government regulation of the First Amendment are you for?
Let me tell you something. If I came on here and I just started calling you all kind of names, do you think the bosses would let me continue to do that?
I mean, it happens to me occasionally. I don't know if you watch
it doesn't happen to you, but it doesn't happen for me. And I know that I wouldn't be able to do that. There's a level of professionalism in what we do here because we are journalists and we adhere to something, at least morally. And there is no moral compass on this thing called
You're
X.
also having a...
Also, I heard what you're saying about X. I saw a survey this week. It's now the most ideologically balanced user platform.
Scott, stop. It's too early. I just sat down. I've only been here for 2 minutes. You cannot continue to say
the show, but
you cannot say that.
So,
that's not the case.
So
Who's the source
of that? What I find, we've reported it on this network.
It's not accurate, and you know it.
Okay, I'll let you make your statement.
Scott,
but my point is
I reframe it a different way? Because the site changed radically, right? So whether you think the voices it is somehow more balanced now, that's fine. But no doubt Musk's influence is profound, and that you open it up and now you're there with his opinion and he is now part of this administration. So does anyone else think that there should be this greater concern about billionaires purchasing media companies?
Okay. Would you be worried if Bill Gates controlled MSNBC?
No, because he's sane.
The only thing that would save CNN and MSNBC is if they were actually to go conservative. What's your take on that?
I agree. And do it for the sake of Scott Jennings. I don't know how that man, kudos to him, goes into that studio almost every day and has to talk to some of the most lunacy-ridden people out there. It's just got to be difficult. But to your point, I think there's only two options. Either one, almost kind of like what Bezos is doing with the Washington Post, get some different voices in there and actually make it a little bit more credible, or shut it down. If you really think you're not capable of giving a actual unfiltered, I used it twice today, but unbiased, more neutral difference of voices, not just Scott Jennings fighting 10 different people, it can work. But if you can't do it, then time to just pack it up and go home.
Yeah, it's amazing. I look at the CNN ratings and you look at the MSNBC ratings and you say, why would you even show up? The majority of what they give out are clips. And so Their clips run wild on X and on social media. And there's a whole report out that I just sent to you today about the future of media and how it is that these companies like Fox and CNN, their strategy going forward is how it is that they're going to leverage TikTok, X, Instagram, whatever, to get their clips out. And I think that what you're going to see is real reporting that ever took place at these agencies, because they're gone now. Now it's all just opinion shows. Real reporting will have to come back in order for them to survive. Their clips, their sensationalized clips, will go out on social media, and that will be sort of the billboard for them to pull people back in to really get the real reports. That's if people really want them, because I think that's one of the things that we face as an issue on both sides of the aisle, is if nobody's willing to do the deep, dark reports that once were, all this is going to be is just a bunch of clips. And that's dangerous, because then you'll never know what the difference is between the truth and the lies. So they're as exciting as the world is becoming, with everything being like a live stream, everything else, it is becoming very, very dangerous that you will not know what to trust or who to trust. And that will probably be the biggest hurdle that the X world has to overcome.
Yeah, and it might just have to, I hate to say it, might have to be based on level of intelligence or wherewithal, because you can, it's almost like credibility verification. You can go through X and you're going to see the accounts. Remember Ivory Hecker, the independent media journalist? I mean, she's credible. She goes through, she investigates. She's a citizen journalist who got sheltered or silenced because of her stance on COVID, or during that report regarding COVID. And then you got your others that clearly are doing it for clickbait and trying to get the clicks. Like, there's that one account, Ryan always jokes, he's like, I can't freaking stand this guy. His name's Matt Wallace, and because he had one interaction with Elon, he gets a lot of impressions, but a lot of his stuff is fake. So you just got to kind of go through the process of knowing who to trust. I mean, we're pretty, trustworthy, I would say, but I think it's so much more worthwhile going through that process rather than clicking on CNN and having to watch Scott Jennings defend a very common sense position with 4 people who just don't have any lick of common sense, or purposely don't.
Right. So even if you go back and you talk about this guy that you just brought up, maybe some people will deem it as, hey, that stuff is fake. Other people will deem it as, well, hey, there's interpretation to be made. Other people will say, well, that's an opinion. You could have the opinion thing. That's the landscape of where everything is going. And I'll tell you who's guilty of doing this. The media is guilty of doing this. The media are the ones that took opinion and fact and blurred the lines between the two to where you couldn't really tell what it was that you were getting. And then it just became so obnoxious that all you got was opinion.
Yeah.
So X is following, and all these places are following that sort of thing. So now it's sort of like whoever the personality is. This is a personality-driven news media. That's where we're going. The person who's got the most popularity, the person who could be the most sarcastic, the person who could be the funniest, or whatever it may be. What's happening is that they're right now getting the eyeballs, but it will all happen again. It will come full circle. Ultimately, people want to trust what it is that they're digesting. And ultimately, if you can deliver trust and entertainment together, that's when you'll be the winner.
And look, it goes beyond Trump. I think when we really saw the mainstream media show their cards, because they were always critical back in 2016, was COVID. I mean, Joe Rogan goes on and says, hey, I used ivermectin to help my issue. And what does CNN specifically do? They show a video of Joe Rogan with a yellow filter to make it look like he got himself sick. So when you and that's just one example, as you already know, of many that they did throughout that era. So when you do stuff like that, and then you come back years later and realize, okay, you were really messing around with us with truth, you lost that trust. You can't get it back. So it's beyond just that, Trump is the bad guy and Hitler, which is already bad enough, but they do it for particular topics that if you have a different say, or your experience is counter to what they're trying to prove, they'll shut you up, or they'll make you yellow like they did to Joe Rogan.
Right. I mean, the one thing the woman on CNN said is that, people are allowed to say anything they want. They can say anything they want. Then we're not allowed to.
No.
If I wanted to say what I wanted to say about those 2 women on CNN, they'd shut me down. and so you don't say it, so it's a lie that you could say whatever you want. One of the things that I think we have to understand is that with the advent of AI, the other thing that we're going to be competing against is not knowing whether it's real or fake. And I don't mean real news or fake news. I mean a real person or a fake person. And some of the things that I have seen over the last week in my investigations, and we're going to do some shows on this stuff, holy cow, you won't know the difference between a real human being and a fake human being. And I'm not kidding. You'll watch a news report and say, I could have sworn that was real. And that's one of the dangers of where we're going. If we can figure out, or people can figure out there, how to be able to fight back and be able to be a resource to figure out whether something is fake or real, there's a lot of growth there. Unfortunately, can you believe that? Can you believe somebody would be the chief fake officer, somebody who's going to determine what is and what is not human life? We're going in a slippery slope, man. Slippery slope.
I've been saying it. Yeah.
All right, that's just to wind up here. Like I said, DMLCBD.com. Go get the gift pack. DMLCBD.com, the gift pack. You get the hand and foot cream. You get the body oil in the mini bottle. You get the face serum. Plus, we're giving you an extra free face serum. DMLCBD.com. You'll see the gift pack. It's right there under the buy tab. Usually, the four of these things together would probably be about $260, $270. Quick math. You're getting it all for $59. This is our Black Friday, done a few days early.
$237.
What's $237?
$237
is the total? Oh,
yeah.
It's pretty close. So $237 you're getting it for $59. It makes a great gift to give somebody. You're going to sell health and wellness. And believe me when I tell you, they'll say this is the best gift they got. Plus you use the face serum for yourself for being, get yourself a nice little gift there.
And it comes in a shiny green bag. We just don't have it here. We had it yesterday.
So this goes into a green bag. Yep.
Yeah.
All right, DMLCBD.com. Get that while they last. Over 50% of them are already gone. We only had a fixed amount. That's it for us. Real quick, for people who are asking, what did I have done? Going back a couple of months ago, I had what's called a crownectomy, where they take, I had all these problems. I had infections and what the hell, they had like abscesses and a whole bunch of stuff in my mouth. So they had to take that all out. They cut the, it's the craziest thing. They cut the wisdom tooth, not the wisdom tooth. Is that the wisdom tooth? Yeah, it's the wisdom tooth. They cut the wisdom tooth in half. And then the idea is that the wisdom tooth will start to wiggle itself free, and then later on you can pull that out without it being so bad. Well, in my particular case, it wound up creating another infection, and I had to go in, and they had to scrape a bunch of the bone. Oh, my God. It was an hour and a half. I was in there for an hour and a half, and it was what a recovery. So I'm still recovering, but that's where it is. And by the way, that wisdom tooth did not shake free. He said that thing is locked in there. So I'm going to have to go and do this again at some point. Say a prayer for me. All right. Until the next time, may God bless you, your family, this country, and President Trump.
And today's Team DML blessing goes out to Dawn Zievok.
All right, Dawn, run with it. DMLCBD.com. Get the gift bag.
Get the Dennis Michael Lynch podcast every day by subscribing on Apple Podcasts or Spotify, and download the DML News app from the Google Play Store or the Apple App Store for breaking news, merchandise, films, exclusive content, and Team DML.